Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
Take it away, Sean, please.
Welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. As always, I'm here with T-Gods and Matty P. Unfortunately, no Q today. Sadly, he had other things to take care of. Hopefully, he'll be back next week with us. But for today's episode, we are going to be following up on last week, instead focusing on touchdown totals on sportsbooks, going through some prominent players, discussing whether or not they go over or under those lines, and how that implicates each player's fantasy value. Again, I'm the one who selected these lines to discuss today, so I have a bit more knowledge on them. I thought about them a little bit, where other guys are going in a bit more blind. And one more thing to keep in mind, these numbers, again, are usually lower than a regular projected total due to injuries being a possibility. If you set it at their exact projected total, everyone would bet the under just because of the chance that they could get injured. So these lines today are from FanDuel until we get to the receiving numbers. Those ones are from DraftKings. Someone please sponsor us so we can just use your lines and not have to dance around. But let's get started with the quarterback position, and let's start with the number one quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. His over-under passing touchdowns on FanDuel right now is 31.5. He took a slight step back last year, finishing his QB 8. Worst finish of his fantasy career, and he only threw for 27 touchdowns, which is below this mark. But the Chiefs replenished his weapons. They added Hollywood Brown, rookie Xavier Worthy, into the mix with Rashee Rice and Kelsey, pending Rashee Rice's suspension, of course. But prior to last season, Mahomes had crushed this mark. 38, 37, and 41 touchdowns in each of those 3 seasons. Is this line too low or too high after last season's down year?
I think it's just right.
Yeah, I think it's a good line, but 100% taking the over.
Definitely.
I don't see Mahomes having another year like last year. Even if he averages just 2 touchdown passes a game, he surpasses that over-under mark. Easy.
It's smacking.
Smacking.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Mahomes definitely should get to that line. If Q were here, he would be already shitting on the Chiefs' downfall, of course.
Dude, I do not have on a 2X.
I think it's the collar. The collar's a little
Is
loose.
it the... I got it. You know what? I'm changing my shirt.
It could have been a V-neck.
See, Q already in the chat yelling under for Patrick Mahomes touchdowns. He's crazy. I'm still taking the over. I don't think I would take this line. I do think it is a pretty good line. This isn't the same Chiefs team. Obviously, they are coming off of the back-to-back Super Bowls. Scary. But again, just regression. I don't know. It's a little bit scary for me to actually bet it.
You sound like Q.
If I'm taking
He's
the
the
over,
only one that believes in Chiefs regression.
if I'm betting it, I'm taking the over. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I think this just bodes well for Mahomes' fantasy value. His line is 3 touchdowns higher than any other player on FanDuel. So, as expected, he should be throwing the most touchdowns this upcoming season. As we wait for T-Gods, let's move on to the next quarterback, Brock Purdy, over under 28.5 passing touchdowns. Is it time for us to believe in Brock Purdy? QB 6 last year, he did throw 31 passing touchdowns. His supporting cast is still the same with Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo, but Ayuk is unhappy with his contract situation, so something to keep an eye on there.
Hold out.
But Purdy, second highest total of all quarterbacks on FanDuel at 28.5. Tied with Dak, more than Burrow, Rodgers, Stroud, and Josh Allen. Is this line way too high, or should we start to respect Purdy and the 49ers offense?
I'll never respect him. This is the smallest shirt I own, I think. The collar's still
Well,
fucked
it looks great, pal.
my big ass
you
head.
look good. You
Fuck
just need a
off.
better dryer.
This is true. Just medium.
That looks good.
Fuck off.
But
Looks
yeah,
good.
Under for Purdy, 100%. He is a Debo yards after catch merchant, screen merchant. He's not a good quarterback, and it will be proven if Ayuk is unhappy. I pray that he gets traded and gets off that shit team. But yeah, Purdy under.
Yeah. I would agree with Purdy under. I wouldn't say he's a shit quarterback. I would say he's probably a good quarterback, maybe average. I just don't think he's great. I think he gets the job done. I think, obviously, as we saw, he can get you to a Super Bowl with the right supporting cast. I think this is the right supporting cast. But if Ayuk leaves, that definitely leans toward the under for me. I think I would also just lean the under as well. He does get McCaffrey, who obviously is a great receiving back as well, which does help him. But in general, 28.5, too high. If you're going to be higher than Burrow, you're going to be higher than guys that I think are going to be better than you.
Yeah, that's insane.
I think the total's a little bit too high for me. I would take the under.
Has to be just the effect of that offense as a whole.
Yeah. But I do think he is still going to be like a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Offense is just too good. He was 6th last year.
Much.
I know. It's not saying much, but it is saying that like he is legit.
You're right. Game manager.
Yeah. Next one, Matt Stafford, over under 23.5 passing touchdowns. Stafford turned it on for the second half of the season once he had Kupp and Puka both healthy and Kyron out of the backfield. Over his last 6 games alone, he threw 15 passing touchdowns, finishing the season with 24, which was higher than this number, just barely. Now, with the entire offense healthy and ready to go to start the season, is this line too low? Before, obviously, 2022 was kind of derailed with his elbow issues. In 2021, he's Super Bowl champ, threw 41 touchdowns. And the season before that, he threw for 26 with a limited supporting cast in Detroit. With his weapons available, should Stafford hit this line easily, or is his age getting to him, and should we avoid him for fantasy and this line?
Nope.
I wanted to say under at first, but
Stafford's elite. They got to start putting respect on Staff's name.
he is elite.
He's nice.
And they have
And
Kupp,
he's got
so
Cooper
solid.
Kupp and Puka.
right? And Kyron will catch at least
he will.
4 receiving touchdowns.
And whoever
Yeah.
the hell the tight end is, I don't know if they still have Higbee. I'm pretty sure they have someone else now.
They got Higbee, and I'm pretty sure they added Colby Parkinson,
Yeah,
so
Colby
kind of be a
Parkinson.
two-headed
Any,
monster there.
any being hyped about Colby Parkinson.
He was decent last year.
He wasn't doing shit last year. He's got to be better than that. But
We'll have
even
like 1.
with staff and all the shit the Rams went through last year, he still surpassed it. I don't know why his line's lower than what he finished with last year. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I think it's just the age, and obviously we did see him deal with those elbow issues in 2022. He did miss, I think, 1 game last year with an injury as well, but was able to come back pretty easily. And then when he came back, he was kind of back to his old self. So, yeah, I would definitely lean towards the over here. I do think Matt Stafford should be a decent low-end QB1, high-end QB2 area quarterback again. This offense should be better. They still have all the same pieces, and now that they're all healthy, I'm back in on staff.
Yeah.
Staph infection, baby.
Ah.
Jordan Love, over under 27.5 passing touchdowns. This one is a bit juiced on the over at plus 104, so they are expecting it to probably go a little bit below this, but broke out last season, carried the Packers to the playoffs with a young, unproven receiving core. Aaron Jones on one leg for half the season as well. He now gets Josh Jacobs and rookie Marshawn Lloyd revamping the backfield behind him while running it back with that same receiving core, now with a year of experience under them. Finishes QB5, threw for 32 touchdowns last year. Pretty solid, but do we believe it's for real? And his total should be the same as Josh Allen and Joe Burrow this season?
No.
No.
I think he's got to take a little step back, man. There's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way he's doing that again.
Agreed. And they brought in Josh Jacobs, so I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more than
You
they
know
did
he's
last
not
year.
catching a touchdown.
Yeah,
That's for damn
100%.
sure.
Neither
Yes.
AJ or Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hammering the under on this if I were to bet it.
Yeah, I would lean the under as well. I do think Jordan Love should still be a solid quarterback this upcoming season. I don't think he's going to be like bad by any means. I just think touchdown regression is probably going to come here. I think I was looking at it before because we'll be talking about the Packers running backs later, or Josh Jacobs on the Packers later. Aaron Jones, I think, had 2 rushing touchdowns last year, and A.J. Dillon, I think, also had 2. So they were literally just every touchdown they scored had to be passing. I think that changes a little bit this year. They get a little bit more luck at the goal line, and I think that helps to bring his total back down to probably around like 25, 26. I would definitely lean the under at 27.5, but Jordan Love should still be pretty solid quarterback, I think. Would you guys put him in your top 12 fantasy QBs off the
Yes.
top, no ranks?
Yes.
Yeah. I
He'd
think
be
so.
like 11.
Yeah. I think he's in
11
that.
seems fair.
I think he's in that 10 to 12 range too. I would agree there. Last one here, threw it on as a meme. Deshaun Watson, over under 18.5 passing touchdowns.
Ridiculous.
18.5. I think the sportsbooks know that Watson is done at this point, putting him up at a line lower than Derek Carr and Caleb Williams. Same total as Will Levis, and only one touchdown higher than Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson. Is Watson done in fantasy, or do you think he still has some value somewhere deep down inside?
Give me the under all day long.
Joe Flacco.
Give me
I'll
the
take
under
Joe Flacco's over.
every single day.
Yeah, I would
He's
hammer
done.
this under.
Yeah.
I think he's cooked.
So
He's
cooked.
played 12 games in the last 3 years, 2023, 2022, and 2021. Obviously sat out all of 2021, but even when he does play, he's banged up. He's dealing with some sort of injury, and when he does play, it's ugly. It hasn't been good. It's been pretty mid at best. I think there's a chance he could, even if he doesn't get hurt, he could get benched.
Yeah. It's bad when the Browns are a better offense when he's injured and whoever the backup is comes in. I think it's just over for Deshaun, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah, he's cooked.
Unfortunately, used to love him, but it's what you get.
Yeah, he's cooked. He threw 7 touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. He hasn't had over 18.5 combined the last 2 years. Obviously only played 12 games total, but still. It's been ugly. Sean Watson, fade him completely. I think he's donezo ball.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's move on to the running backs here. Derrick Henry, again, to start off now with the Ravens. Obviously, probably one of the more exciting pickups this offseason. Rushing touchdowns over under 10.5. We did touch on this one a bit last episode, but figured we should focus on the touchdowns here. This line set at 10.5. With age in the new team, there is some risk, but he's obviously dominated this line. He scored 12-plus rushing touchdowns every season since 2018, except for one, and that was when he scored 10 touchdowns in only 8 games before getting hurt. Do we think Henry gets here, and if he gets 11 rushing touchdowns, does this push him into that clear RB1 status?
He might have that by week 10.
Yes on both.
Yeah, I'm smacking the over on this all day. He might tie his record, 17.
Should be free.
Should be so free.
Yeah, I think my only fear would obviously be Lamar Jackson running some in, but even that takes away maybe 4 or 5 here or there. I think the Ravens offense is still going to be dominant. They really don't have like crazy red zone targets. Like Mark Andrews, obviously solid, but he's been banged up a bit here and there the last couple seasons. And then Zay Flowers is not going up and getting it in the corner of the end zone. He needs to kind of catch a slant over the middle. Yeah. This team's going to have to run through Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's definitely getting in the end zone as long as he's on the field. So I'm with y'all. Smack this over.
What?
Saquon Barkley, rushing touchdowns over under 6.5. Saquon on the Eagles now has his line set lower than I probably would have expected, 6.5. However, he has only cleared this touchdown total twice in his career. He fell short last season at 6 in 14 games. Do we think this line is laughably short, or with Jalen Hurts available in short yardage situations, such as the tush-push area, do we think Saquon may not get there, paired with past health concerns?
Bro,
I just feel like he has to.
I'm scared because it's so low. That's weird. It's
Swift
weirding
got
me out.
I think they're accounting
in 20 in all the games. Swift played 16. He only got 5 rushing touchdowns. That's the only thing that scares me a little bit is like they just use Jalen Hurts every time when it's within 1 yard. So like, are they going to switch it up and give it to Saquon? I know Jason Kelsey's gone, so it could be different. Definitely. Could
How
be
the fuck were we on the 1 yard line so much?
It was crazy. It was crazy.
It makes no sense. I feel like we can't get to the 1 yard line as much as we did last year. And I think teams are kind of preparing for the push more and more. So maybe it might not be as effective. So we kind of lean on Saquon a little more in those short yardage red zone situations. But I feel like I have to take the over on this, if anything.
Yeah. I think it's also baking in the injury, which obviously does scare me a little bit away. But like in theory, if Saquon's healthy for 17 games, I think he gets 7 rushing touchdowns. Like I think he just has to get there. But Jalen Hurts last 3 seasons, 10 rushing touchdowns, 13, and then 15 last year. This man munches in the red zone. Almost good for a touchdown
It
game
has to
last
go
year.
down, though. It has to go back down.
I agree. I think without Kelsey, I think it definitely changes up the dynamic a little bit. I think we still try it, but I don't think it's as successful. I still think we're going to use that QB sneak most of the time in those really short yardage situations. But 3 yards out, 4 yards out, I think Saquon's going to be able to get in there at a much more successful rate than maybe like DeAndre Swift was in that 4 to 5 yard range.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're all taking the over here on
Taking the
Saquon.
over.
If he's healthy, you will be happy owning him in fantasy. Gator with the most wild take in the chat.
Insane.
Derrick Henry breaking LT's record for touchdowns and Saquon going for 2K yards. Thanks, Gator.
And then you said, book it.
Book it too. Like book that. Like that's a fact.
Rather
That's
not.
I'm not
like
booking
my
any
money.
of that. All right, moving on to Josh Jacobs. His total one higher than Saquon at 7.5. So his line gets set at 8 touchdowns. He has hit 8 touchdowns in 2020, 2021, and 2022 with 12, 9, and 12 respectively. Last season fell short at 6 in only 13 games. And kind of a lost season for the Raiders as they completely fell apart like pretty early on.
Yep.
He does join the Packers, and like I said earlier, they have struggled to score rushing touchdowns. Aaron Jones only scored 8 rushing touchdowns over his last 3 seasons there. I think he had like 11 receiving touchdowns, so like he just has not been able to get it in on the ground. And A.J. Dillon's highest season was 7 in 2022 before only scoring 2 himself last year. Does Jacobs kind of turn around that narrative for the Packers, punching it in for 6, or do we think he falls short and struggles in his first year outside of Las Vegas?
He
He's
turns it
getting in
around. I think, number one, the Packers are a much better team than the Raiders. I feel like the Raiders kind of went down a lot, so they kind of abandoned the run, leaving Josh Jacobs no opportunity to score. And I think on the Packers, he just has the offense is going to be able to move the ball, and their defense is all right. So I think they'll be in a lot of games, and it'll kind of be more neutral other than just abandoning the run completely.
Yeah, I'd completely agree there. I think they're definitely going to rely on him more and longer through games. So I think they would use Josh Jacobs in the red zone. My only fear, obviously, is that they haven't been that successful doing so, but I think Josh Jacobs can help turn that around. I think this line's pretty good. I think he's probably going to be between 6 and 10 rushing touchdowns. It's just a matter of where he's going to end up landing there. A little tough one for me to pick one, but if I had to, I think I would still lean the over. I think this new scenario for him should be good.
I agree. I think he might hit like 8 exactly.
Yeah. So over the 7.5.
Yeah.
I like that. Last one for the running backs, Tony Pollard, rushing touchdowns over under 5.5. Pollard's only being tasked with punching in 6 tutties this season after the Titans heavily relied on Derrick Henry in seasons past when they got near the goal line. However, Pollard only scored 6 last season as a full-time starter with Dallas and 9 the season before in that timeshare with Zeke where he had his breakout year. Now with a bit of a worse O-line and expecting Tyjae Spears to be somewhat involved here, what does this mean for Pollard, and should he even be targeted in fantasy as an RB2?
It's so crazy. Last year, bro, like people were fighting for this man in
I
the
was
first
so
round.
high on Pollard.
Everybody
bro.
was high on this
so
man.
high. And if they start Tajay, he has a chance. I think he's just better as a backup, if that makes sense.
He
But
is better.
If he
as a
stayed in
backup.
Dallas, he would have had like 10 because Zeke's back. But he's not, so I'm going to have to take the under.
I'm taking the under too.
Yeah.
No.
And
I'm
I just
cool.
think their offense really isn't going to be all that great.
It's gonna be terrible.
like-
Come on, bro.
Yeah. Kind of like
Titans?
Josh Jacobs' situation
Yes.
last year. Like, they're not going to really be able to run the ball at will.
They added a ton of pieces to this offense, but I do still think it's going to be very mid.
Bro, he could
Like,
barely do it on the
quarterback.
Cowboys. Look at
Calvin
their
Ridley and
offense.
D like 5 years ago would be disgusting as your wide receiver duo.
5
But-
years ago.
Now they're old. They did add Tyler Boyd, also old. So like they have a good 3, but
Retirement.
who knows who's going to stay healthy out of those 3, and who knows if they're still going to be able to perform at that highest level. Will Levis kind of heading into this unknown second season where we saw some flashes last year, but who knows? I don't know. I don't love this offense. I don't love Pollard that much. I would definitely lean towards the under. I think, again, pretty solid line. I think he finishes with 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns. Maybe even like 4. Which, depressing, but
Realistic.
he's not Derrick Henry, and he's not gonna take over just like that.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
And for his fantasy value, I definitely think he's gonna be like low end RB2, maybe even like flex territory. I'm not loving Tony Pollard this year
I'm
already.
thinking more so flex.
Yeah,
Last year just turned me all the way off.
yeah. I agree. All right, moving on to wide receivers. These receiving touchdown lines comes from DraftKings because FanDuel does not have any lines up for those yet. Again, if you are a sportsbook and you are watching this podcast, Throw us a sponsorship. We'll use your lines. All right. We will.
I'll deposit $1,000.
And win it all back. Tyreek Hill, first wide receiver to discuss over under 9.5 receiving touchdowns. Receiving touchdowns in general can be pretty tough to predict. Tyreek has cleared this line 3 times in his career, including last season when he caught 13. However, he has fallen short of this line 4 times since his rookie season, including only 7 in 2022 in his first year with Miami. This is the highest total for the season, tied with Mike Evans and CeeDee Lamb, both also at 9.5 there. Do we think Tyreek gets there? Just assuming we still expect him to be in running for fantasy wide receiver 1, or would you rather lean towards the under as Tyreek continues to get older?
I think I would take the under. I don't know.
I think I'm taking the over. He's so fast.
No,
He's
he's
still
so fast, but
Good.
besides last year, like the last 2 years, 7 and 9, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
And he
tough.
played all 17 games those 2 years
it
too.
is
So
tough.
Waddle's definitely going to get some positive touchdown regression as well. Waddle only had 4 last year. He had 8 in 2022 and 6 in 2021 as a rookie. I think Waddle definitely gets more than 4. I think he gets
And
up
their
to like
run game has gotten
6
a
to
lot
8.
better.
I think 9.5 is a good number for him. I think he could get 10. I think he could get like 9. I don't
Really,
think
you
he'll
really
be
think-
towards 13 again.
bro, like you really think he's getting over 1,700 receiving yards again?
Yards is
Don't,
different.
but I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, he's done it back-to-back years for the yards.
I mean,
Touchdowns, though, they're so unpredictable, and he's
They are.
5'10". He just needs to break them like every time.
Right. All he needs is a screen, and then he's got the ability to just
Yeah.
break one at any moment.
Bro,
I
like,
still think he's going to be an elite wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
of course he is, but I'm still taking the under. It's too many.
Uh,
It's law of averages, man. He has to come back down.
I think you swayed me.
I agree. I agree with you.
I would
I
take
think
the
I
under.
picked this one. Like, I wouldn't want to bet against Tyreek Hill scoring touchdowns, but
Fuck no.
I think if I had to pick a side, yeah, I'm taking the under. I would agree with that. I think 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think Waddle probably gets 8 as well this year. Gets back up towards where he belongs and kind of evens out that way. A few more rushing touchdowns mixed in there as well. Although Mostert did have like 20 last year, so it'd be hard to get more than that. Next on the list, Justin Jefferson over under 7.5 receiving tutties. The over is at plus 100. J-Jeff has never been a touchdown monster. He peaked at 10 in his second season with the Vikings, and then getting 8 and 7 in his other 2 full seasons, and only 5 last year in 10 games. Can we expect his total being at 8 with a new QB to be a sign of good things to come, or are you nervous that maybe he's just a mid-tier wide receiver 1 this season with all the changes going on?
This one's tough.
This one is tough. This is like the most.
Like J-Jeff is obviously J-Jeff, but relying on a rookie quarterback to get him those touchdowns is.
Or Sam Darnold is even worse.
Oh my God. I'm not even taking Sam Darnold into account because there's no way he starts at any point this year.
I thought that was your guy. What do you mean?
When he was a running back, he was good.
Come on, bro. He's still got it.
No, he don't.
He's still
The first
got
few
it.
weeks in Carolina were crazy. A
They
fever dream.
were. He was like Cam on steroids. But
Bro, I think I'm taking the
That's
under.
fucking scary.
I think I'm taking the under. He doesn't do it to begin with, and now the whole new quarterback, and I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
And
Turning me
Madison's
off.
Nice. And they got Hawk. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed.
Hawk is going to miss probably the first 6 weeks, I would guess.
Well,
If not more. Coming off that, like, what was it, ACL in, like,
yeah.
week 16. It was late in the year.
Still more than half the season for him to take away targets and touches.
I agree. They got N'Keal Harry at tight end, too, so watch out there.
Kill Harry at tight end.
Yeah, he's pivoting from wide receiver to tight end.
Is there?
Yeah, it's gross. But yeah, J-Jeff, I think this one's scary. I think I would avoid this one. I think he probably gets between 6 and 10 again. Like I said for the last one, probably lands around 7 or 8. But yeah, I wouldn't want to touch this one with a 10-foot pole. I think he gets his touchdowns when he does, but he'll also just have really good games without scoring touchdowns. He'll have 10 catches for 140 yards, no tuds, and be just fine for fantasy. So Jefferson will still be good. I still think he'll get his yards. I think we said we would take his over 1,300 last episode, but the touchdowns definitely would avoid touching this one.
Yep.
Devontae Adams, over under 6.5 receiving touchdowns at plus 100. This one
Smacking
felt
that.
lowest to me. Devontae Adams still managed to
Smacking
catch
that.
8 last year with Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy G throwing
Come on,
ducks
dude.
left and right. 3 seasons prior, he had caught 14, 11, and 18. And since 2016, he only missed this total once when he caught
Insane.
5 in 2019 and in only 12 games. Does this mean we are anticipating an even more down year for Adams with Minshew, or should he easily get 7 tuds and return to elite wide receiver 1 at age 31?
If he got the over with Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy G, he can damn sure get the over with Gardner Minshew.
And second year Aiden O'Connell, worst case scenario.
I don't even want to talk about that guy.
Yeah, I would take the over here for sure. He got 8 last year. And that was him slowing down. I
He's
know
gonna
Jacoby
get
Myers is there,
forced.
but Jacoby Myers is not a red zone threat. We've seen that in years past.
Maybe Brock Bowers could take some red zone targets away.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Jacoby Myers peaked last year for his career at 8 touchdowns. I think,
Okay.
again, he gets maybe 6 to 8. So I'm taking Addy over all day at 7 tuds.
But he's
If it
gonna
was at
have
8,
so many
I'd be
garbage
okay.
time touchdowns.
but 7, dude, come on. You got to give me Devontae Adams get 7 touchdowns.
He's gonna munch.
Every day of the week, even at age 31. Adams should still be good. I still think he'll be a low end to mid wide receiver 1 for sure. So, and if he can get double-digit touchdowns, he'll definitely be right back in that top 5 conversation.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors, rookie for the Giants. We talked about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s yards last episode. This time we're going to talk about Neighbors. Over under 5.5 receiving touchdowns at plus 105. So a little bit heavier on the under there. But Neighbors heads to the Giants, hoping to be their most dynamic playmaker since OBJ left. However, this team's still a bit of a mess. They let Saquon walk, and now they're running it back with Daniel Jones. Is 6 touchdowns possible for the rookie in his first season with Big Blue, or should we fade him at this number in fantasy redraft leagues?
I think it's very possible.
This quarterback is stinky winky.
So
He
stinky.
is stinky, but you got to think who else is Daniel Jones throwing the ball to? As much as I love Darius Slayton, he's not good.
Allen
Slayton's
Robinson.
been the most consistent
Allen
last
Robinson, not good.
10
Darren
years.
Waller, probably going to retire.
Although Slayton sucks.
Slayton is so bad. I think just the volume that Neighbors is going to get. The
God,
Giants are
Isaiah
gonna be
McKenzie.
down. Please stop. You're just looking at the depth chart.
I think I'm taking the under here, dude.
I'm taking the over.
I mean, I believe in Neighbors'
Ew.
talent.
Daniel Jones, 35 touchdowns a season.
That's
Bugging.
crazy. Straight bugging in the chat.
Bugging.
But yeah, they made the playoffs in 2022, right? Daniel Jones, that was kind of his season where they were believing in him. He threw for 15 touchdowns total that year.
Saquon
15.
Packers.
Less than 1 a game. He threw for 24 his rookie year, and since then it's been 11, 10, 15, and then 2 in 6 games last year before getting shut down. I
Yikes.
can't trust anyone to catch touchdowns. I think Neighbors could easily get there, but I'm taking the under
Yeah.
on Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
Or
Be
on
on my
Neighbors.
island.
You can stay on
Neighbors
island.
Island, baby.
I mean, Neighbors is good. I think the talent will eventually come through there. I just don't know if Daniel Jones is
I'm
going
about
to
to
be
parlay the under on both.
the guy to get there.
Neighbors and Danny Dimes.
Yep. Smacking that.
I wonder what Daniel Jones' line is. I didn't even look at it. It's probably so low.
17 and a half.
Yeah, it's
I'm
probably
guessing
Bryce
like
Young. Yeah,
yeah.
that's Bryce Young's. That's also Jada Daniels, Anthony Richardson. They're all actually Jada Daniels might be 16 and a half.
Oh, disrespectful. He's winning Rookie of the Year.
He could. I doubt it though. Caleb Williams,
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, Zach Wilson's getting first team reps there, man. Watch out.
Zach Wilson's so bad.
I know why he's
So
getting first team
bad.
reps.
I don't
Why is he on the
know.
team?
Just let him go.
It makes no sense.
To be in the UFL.
All right,
Okay.
last
No, he
wide
shouldn't.
receiver.
It's trash.
George Pickens, over under 4.5 receiving touchdowns. The over is bit juiced at minus 135, so expected to at least get to 5. But he only has 9 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons with the Steelers, 5 and 4 respectively. But Deontay Johnson's gone. He gets Russell Wilson / Justin Fields to be at the helm of this offense. The competition for targets now consists of Pat Freiermuth a third-round rookie, the speedster Calvin Austin, and a pool of forgotten wide receivers, including Marquez Callaway, Quez Watkins, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, and Denzel Mims.
What the fuck?
Should Pickens clear this total, or does this low total mean to avoid him and fade the Steelers this upcoming
Avoid.
season?
Bro,
I would
I-
take the under.
I think I would smack this
what?
smack
This
this
is
over.
like my favorite
No
over, bro.
way.
You're tripping.
No way.
You're taking the under here? Why? You just don't like this offense at all?
I don't like the offense at all. I think the Steelers are a very run-heavy team. They still got Najee and
Warren.
Warren, yeah. And I just
They both suck.
Justin Fields sucks.
No, he doesn't, dude.
So does
Russ
Russ.
elite.
Oh my god,
He's
maybe
so
like
bad, he's so bad, he's so-
2018.
Nah,
Russ is bad. But DJ Moore last year, 8 touchdowns with Justin Fields. Just fine.
bro,
just
Pickens got
fine.
something to prove, bro.
DJ Moore's good at catching screens and yards
Oh,
after catch. George Pickens.
Dude, you just gotta throw it up to Pickens. He's catching 5.
Dude, he's
he's gotta
easily
catch 5.
catching 5.
He's got to catch 5. This line's so low. I feel like it's disrespectfully low.
So
I think Pickens
disrespectful.
should get like 6. I think his line should be like 6.5.
I bet you it lowers before the season starts.
It could, but
Bro,
I'm still taking the over. All
you
day.
are a
I hope it lowers. I'll
hater
bet the over.
I
For
am a
no
hater.
reason.
Q's on Hater Island with you if he was here. He despises George
I
Pickens
just
for
don't
no
like
reason.
the Steelers.
I think Russ and Justin Fields in any combination is a huge upgrade over Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky last year, dude. Like, whatever that happens, and now no Deontay, he's got to get way more targets. He only had 106 targets last year and 84 his rookie year. I think he's going to be pushing like 120, 130, if not like almost up to 150. There's literally like throwing the ball. His number 2 option is Pat Fryermuth. Pat Fryermuth does
Until
not
they sign Jarv.
munch on targets until they what?
Sign Jarv.
I'd be fine with that. But Roman Wilson, I don't think he's going to like jump out immediately. 3rd round rookie. He could be good, but I think it's Pickens right now. The Pickens show. It's his time to kind of take over. I'm taking the over on 4.5, and I still think he should be a solid flex this upcoming year.
Yep.
Matt, you're on the island. Me and T Gods are on Pickens Island. We're smacking the over.
I'm smacking the over.
I might bet that one after this episode.
Me as well.
Have
I'm
fun
laying it with Derrick
losing.
Henry.
Ooh. They're on different sites. Actually, Derrick Henry, I think his price is better on DraftKings for 10.5.
Alright.
So
That's where I'm at.
tight ends, Travis Kelce, over under 6.5 receiving tuds. Kelsey's coming off his worst year since 2015, which still had him catch 93 passes, 984 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That touchdown total is short of the 7 here that he needs, but in the 3 seasons prior, he had caught 12, 11, and 9, and since 2017, he caught 8+ in 5 of 7 seasons. Kelsey obviously does have a little bit more competition for targets after they added Hollywood and whatnot, but still should be the focal point of this Chiefs offense. Is he still the tight end one we know? Or has he taken a step back as Taylor's boyfriend at age 34?
Yikes. I'm taking the over.
Bro, he's old as dirt, man. He's
He's just dirt.
34.
He's still
I think I'm
nice
smacking
until,
this. I'm taking
until he
positive regression on this one.
yeah, until he proves that he is not an elite tight end. I will bet the over on any Kelsey line.
Dude, over like 7 tuds? Like, he's got to get 7. After, like,
Easy.
I feel like he has to get there,
He
bro.
had 5 and he didn't play in 3
And
games.
Rush
last
might get
year.
suspended for like 6 games.
Yeah.
Hollywood's not
smack.
going to be a red zone target.
And a rookie wide
Xavier
receiver.
Worthy, he's like another speedster. He's not going to be a red zone target. Like, they
The
could
thing
get
I'd
12
be scared
passes,
about
but-
is fucking Jarek McKinnon.
Yeah, I'd be scared of Mahomes like running it in himself. Pacheco's definitely gonna munch too, but
Oh yeah.
for this
Fine.
line, I'm taking the over. I'm in on Kelsey. It's still Kelsey until that stops being true. He was still tight end 3 last year. He's still gonna put up numbers. He's still gonna be very involved in this offense. I think he should get 7 touchdowns.
All right.
7's so low, bro. 7's so
So
low.
low.
Why do you only get
Just-
5 last year?
I don't know. It was weird. Weird one. That's why I think
Yes,
positive
yeah.
regression back up. Back up.
All right.
He's catching them. All right. Episode not over, but we are going to transition over to some trivia with me since Q is out today. So that's it for talking about players and their current touchdown lines. We expect these lines to probably move a bit throughout the offseason as new news comes out, trades, injuries, blah, blah, blah. So maybe we will revisit these in our yardage takes some point before the season or maybe even after the season just to see what had happened. But if you are here on Twitch, throw us a follow, subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Throw us a subscription over on YouTube as well. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Super Fantasy Bros on all platforms. If you search that, we will come up. Also, like, rate, review on Spotify, Apple Music. That helps us out a ton.